Hello everyone. I made this video in order to give you a few pointers that should be useful at this point as you're working towards your second community engagement toolkit assignment. So let's just get started. So first I just wanted to give you this general overview of where this is going, right? You already completed your community profile, and at this point you probably know a lot more about your community than you did before, or maybe at least you learned some new things about it. Then in toolkit number 2, you're going to be formulating community questions, and the idea here is that for the next assignments in the community engagement toolkit, you're going to be developing some kind of skills. So in toolkit 2 is going to be creating a survey instrument, or it can also be an interview instrument, and it's essentially preparing before you interact with people what kind of things you have to do. How do you formulate your questions? How do you create a statement explaining what you're doing? Then in toolkit 3, you're actually going to approach your community, and in particular, you're going to be doing that through an informal interview, or we can also call it a conversation with community members. And essentially, that's the first approach you're going to have to actually talking to people. And then in toolkit 4, we're going to be looking at a different tool, but one that is also very useful and that might give you different insight, and that is participatory mapping. And the skill you will develop is creating a participatory map with community members. So I hope that gives you a good picture of what's coming next. And that being said, I want to start talking about some of some of my comments from toolkit 1 from your community profiles. You guys, for the most part, did a good job putting together your profiles, and a lot of my comments had to do with the use of references, and this is something that is quite difficult to do or to learn in the first place. Even when you already know how to do it, it's kind of a tedious thing to do. But it's just kind of the way it is, and it's something that it's going to be useful for other courses, mainly because almost every course is going to require that you do some kind of references, and most of them use the APA format. So here are a few useful resources you might use. The Purdue OWL Online Writing Lab has this excellent website that includes like all the formats for references and all the explanations on how you also do in-text citations. Very useful. I use it when I'm writing my own references, and I highly recommend it. Then if you have small questions about something very particular in your reference that is not clear from the overall rules, you can go to the APA blog, which is actually run by the APA people, the American Psychological Association. Usually what I do is just like Google APA blog and whatever it is the issue that I'm looking for, and most of the times I find an answer that way. And then there's also resources for citation through Miami University Library, which is sort of a bigger collection of resources that you can find, and it also has the rules of citing with APA, although it's not as detailed as the resource from Purdue. Very quickly, I also wanted to just show you like what the format looks like for many of the references that you had in your documents. And for a website, you always try to have both the author and the title of the document. They're usually available, and they might be the same thing. You might have the author and the title be the same set of words, and that is because an organization, like let's say the United States Environmental Protection Agency, might be the author, or in the case of many of your documents, city data can be the author, right? Whoever is responsible for the work that you are citing is going to be the author of that work. And then the title, usually something, a bit of text that is highlighted at the top of the page or something like that, that you're going to include, and you're going to put it in italics. Usually, you don't include the date you retrieve things from in for APA format. It's mainly when you're using a source that might change with time, sort of like a Wikipedia article, although I wouldn't cite Wikipedia, but something that changes constantly, or that is likely to change or be updated, then you include that date. If not, according to the APA blog, it says, it's not absolutely necessary. Then it's a little bit different if you're looking at an online newspaper. In this case, I think I made a few comments saying, just use a general format for a website. But upon looking back, it's actually like you can see here, it's basically, instead of, you have both the title of the article and the title of the newspaper, and the title of the newspaper is the one that goes in italics. Otherwise, it's very similar, just a small difference. But yeah, I told some of you that you don't need to include the title of the newspaper. I was actually wrong, and I apologize for that. Now, moving on to Toolkit 2. I'm thinking you're probably not having too much trouble finding or deciding upon your environmental issue that you're going to be talking about. But I just wanted to say, don't feel like you need to be constrained by the environmental issues that you described in your community profile, or that we have talked about in the discussions. You can still, include something new, something that you maybe heard about in the last couple of days. That's fine. You have that freedom to select what you're doing. Now, in my mind, it is important that we define what we mean by environmental. It seems like it's such a clear, obvious concept. But just so that we're all on the same page, I would say that we're talking about issues involving biodiversity or wildlife, pollution, climate change, habitat loss and modification, and the use of natural resources. Now, one of the requirements for the Toolkit 2 assignment, you have to write an explanatory or consent statement. And it says in there that it has to be a whole page. And upon talking with other instructors, we actually figured out that it doesn't have to be. You don't really need to have that much information in there. What we mean by an explanatory and consent statement is, when you're doing a survey, there's usually this statement at the top of it that tells you some information about the survey. And so I thought, well, if I was doing this myself, I would probably find an example and just modify it. It's not the kind of thing that you really are concerned about plagiarism, because this is not really any creative work. It's just a requirement that you have the right information, that you're giving your participants the right information so that they can decide whether or not they want to participate. And so I'm including in here an example of what that looks like, and that's also going to be in the post I will make, including this video, and the email that will have it too. So if you want, you can use this statement as it is and just modify the information that is relevant for the set of questions that you are writing. And that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the workshop. I'm looking forward to seeing your progress as you move into the next Toolkit assignment. So see you later, guys. Bye.